All right, well, welcome everybody to the PowerApps and Flow Best Practices for Managing and Automating session. We definitely appreciate everyone being here. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to go over a few things. We're going to start off with looking at some of the new features for application lifecycle management. So I'll get us kicked off. I'm going to then turn it over to Mehdi, who's on our Power Customer Advisory team. So he's going to walk us through admin connectors and PowerShell and really how to use that to do some admin and governance. And he's going to show us a couple things that you can take away and use right after you leave this session in your own tenants. And then after that, I'm going to turn it over to Kurt, who comes to us from Chevron. He's going to give us some real life examples of how Chevron is building out, managing the end-to-end power platform. So let's go ahead and get kicked off. So when we think about application lifecycle management, a lot of people say, well, what in the world is that, right? So for me, when I think about ALM, I think about this full end-to-end cycle that you have to go through. It's not just one piece, it's not just DevOps, it's really thinking about, well, where do I start? How do I go find this problem? Or how does this problem find me that I need to solve? How do I then go build requirements? How do I think about how to solve that problem? How do I get feedback? How do I manage that full cycle all the way from building to deploying to maintaining and then getting that customer feedback loop and going all the way through? And it's really that full experience. You have things like management experiences when, okay, I need to set up a new environment or I need to look at an environment that I already have. I have to think through, well, is this a team that I'm going to have across all of my company? Is it maybe citizen developers on the maker side? Is it pro devs? How do those teams work together to build one solution for your business? And then also, you think about the platform. So where do we go? Is it a solution model? How do I choose what type of technology that I want to use? And then how do I scale that out and how do I deploy that end to end? So we have a few new features, new things available. So within the CDS platform, we have this construct called a solution. And really what a solution is it's a way to package together, think about it almost as a folder of the things that you want to move to the next environment. So these things could be Canvas apps, it could be model-driven apps, it could be entities or fields or charts. We have lots of different things that you can move. And it's really a way for, again, not only for pro devs, but also your citizen developers to work collectively on one thing for your business problem that you're trying to solve. So we have a couple new items that we've introduced to the CDS solution system over the last year or so. Some of those things are highlighted. So one of the things is Canvas apps. So before, from day one, you could always do model-driven apps as part of a CDS solution. Now you can start to do Canvas apps. You also can do Microsoft Flows. So I can take those Canvas apps, I can take those flows, I can put them into a solution, and I can do that along with the other things that you see on the screen. Things like security roles, things like plugins and web resources and my code. I can bundle all that together and say, great, this is what it takes for me to make my full business solution and move it to UAT or move it to prod. So we have those kind of things today. There's a few caveats with Canvas apps and flows, and we call those out in documentation, but it's really the step in the right direction. We have a few new things that are shipping right now that I wanted to talk about and focus on. So one of those are custom connectors. So let's start off and take a look at that. So custom connectors are something that you can create on your own. So we have over 250 connectors out of the box that you can use today. But there may be systems that are homegrown or systems that don't have a connector. So what you can do is you can make a custom connector via any REST API. So I can grab those, I can make my own custom connector, and now I can start to deploy those inside of a solution. So I can start to move that from my dev environment to my UAT environment to my production environment. And I can also start to manage that in source code. So if I take my solution, I can use things like DevOps to take my solution, put it directly into my file repo, maybe it's Git, and then I can start to store that and I can have the source of truth in my file repo. And I can also start to automate some of those tasks with CI/CD. I can do things like move them the ways that I like, whether I use a solution packager or other mechanisms today with my CDS solution. The other new piece of technology that we're rolling out is something called environment variables. So really what this is we've heard from a long time that, hey, I need a way to specify and move in a solution pieces of data, pieces of configuration, almost parameters that need to live in UAT, they need to live in my production environment. How do I do that? So we've lit up something called environment variables. You can specify that what the inputs are for this. You can specify what the default values are. And I can quickly create these environment variables and then move them from place to place. So I can say, great, if I have, let's say, a workflow in dev and I'm doing my development, I want that email to go to me personally because I'm the one doing the development. When I move it to UAT, I may want it to go to my team to make sure, and my team of testers to make sure that just works. But once I move it to prod, I want to make sure that it's not going to me anymore, it's going to who it needs to go to. So I can do that today via the PowerApps.com website. I can start to create those environment variables. I can put those into a solution, and I can start to move those from environment to environment. Now, there's some things that you don't want to move or use with this particular technology. Things like secrets. If I have API keys, if I have login credentials, those are not the right types of things to put inside of environment variables today. Although that's something in the future that we want to light up, so that way I can start to use things like Key Vault to move these variables and secure them and move them from place to place, because that's one less manual step that I need to work on and do. So those are some of the new features about how to really put things into a solution, so that way you're ready to move them from place to place and start to govern that process and manage that process as they go. And Kurt is going to tell us a little bit more about that later on, about what they're doing today, some of the ways that they've automated their full cycle from dev to UAT to prod at really mass scale. But first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Mehdi. So again, Mehdi really works with customers that are trying to do some of these mass scale items, and sees a variety of ways that customers are trying to light up admin and governance. So Mehdi, take it away.
Hello. Hi, so I'm Mehdi. I'm from the PowerCat team. So one of the exciting things I do on a daily basis is engage with customers. A year ago, it was all about how to make apps, best practices. My conversations nowadays is really about governance, administrations, and all of those questions. So we have a really good admin center today. It allows you to do everything from creating environments, securing them, monitoring. But there is a lot of custom needs that I see across organizations. Every organization is slightly different. They have different processes, compliance requirements. And really what the PowerShell scripts and the admin connectors allow you to do is just take control over that experience that you want to provide in your organization and go ahead and automate the way you see it fit for your organization. So I'm going to just start with simple examples. Today we have two technologies that we put at your disposal to actually get access to all of the information you have about environments, about your apps. We have the PowerShell scripts, which are they are familiar for administrators out there that want to build automations. We have hundreds of commands that are available to us from looking at environments, looking at apps within environments, looking at every single app and who's the app is shared with, the permissions that the owner of the app, the connections that are used for those apps. Those are all information you can get today with the PowerShell script. So similarly with the flow, you could get the name of the flows that you have in your environment, who owns those flows, change their permissions over those flows. It's very easy to stay started on the PowerShell script. You can head on to these links, install the modules. It takes a minute. And then really what you get is access to a lot of commands. I'm going to kind of go over a couple of simple scenarios today. The first one, let me go back to my slide here. The first one is really about you created an app, you're an app maker, you want to engage your customers, you want them to kind of go and see the app right away, reduce the friction. So really what we could do, you can do today with the PowerShell script is really set a featured app, a hero app, as you can see here. So this is what you get as an experience when you are a user or you want to see an app. Today, if you don't set it as a hero, you have a full catalog of apps that might or might not be easy to get to. So one of the command line that we have here is the set admin hero app. So I'm gonna switch to my PowerShell scripts and run those commands. So again, it's a very easy kind of admin. If you are familiar with the PowerShell script, this stuff will resonate to you. But you can set, you have a bunch of commands at your disposal. Things like maybe getting a list of all of the apps that you have in your environment. So this command here will just return a list of all of the apps that you have at your disposal. You could list all of the environment you have. And in our particular case, what we want to do is maybe just maybe set the featured app as one of the apps that we have in our tenant here. So basically, you run the command. It's basic building block for something that that should be kind of it's something that allows you basically to kind of set this experience here. So that's one example. The other example I have here is this experience that you see here, which is I'm going to again switch back to my slides. Okay. Which is really the admin consent. So one of the things that, again, is a friction, maybe as a user, you would see that when you build an app, you share it with the customers, they had to go through this consent dialogue. So again, PowerShell scripts is really an easy way to go and suppress that consent dialogue. Again, the goal here is to maybe improve the experience that some users have engaging with your app. Again, those are very simple commands. There's hundreds of commands that you could use with PowerShell script. I want to show a little bit more complex example here. This is a script that allows you to go set up a SQL database, go through a bunch of apps that you have in your environment, list out all of the properties that you have in your apps, like the owner, the creator of the app, when was it last published, all of the details that you might need when you are actually looking at your apps. You could look at the connection references that you have for this particular app, and you can go ahead and record this in a SQL database. And the goal here is really to go capture all of the data that you have about all of your apps in maybe something custom, maybe a database that you can use then to kind of draw some intelligence, write reports, send some notifications. So that's kind of the one particular example of a PowerShell script in action. Going back to my slides, I want to go through the admin connectors that we have today. We have a bunch of admin connectors which actually do exactly the same thing as the PowerShell scripts. They allow you to interface with everything that we have in our backend related to your environment, your DLP policies, and it's a much user-friendlier way of interacting with your backends. And you could start imagining scenarios specific to your admin, and we'll see a couple of examples in a second, that are easy to implement via Flow or via PowerApps using those connectors. Again, we have the flow management connectors, allow you to do everything again around your, they allow you to send all of your flow in your environment, the owners, permissions, all of that stuff. Makers, we have PowerApps for Maker as well. This is really a view scope to the app makers and a way for them to kind of programmatically get all of the apps that they might have created, look at all of the environments they have access to. So I want to just give one example here of a flow that was created using those admin connectors. And the scenario here is that you have a new app maker, someone who just created their first app within an organization. Something that will come, probably that will happen, pretty often in any specific organization. But the goal here is to welcome that user, let them know that there is a community out there within your organization. Let them see maybe some important documentation link. So the scenario here, again, is just a welcome email that gets sent when an app is created by a new app maker. So I'll show the flow real quick, and then we can can go over it. So the flow in question here is oops, it's this one, which is really an alert that gets sent for each time we discover a new app. So I'll go over it real quick. So the recurrence here is that every day we run this flow. We list all of the environments that we have at our disposal. We go and for each of one of those environments, we go and call the get@app function, one of many functions that we have in the connectors. This app will list out all of the apps that are available in a particular environment. This is the environment name. So given that new list of apps, what we want to do is check whether the user, whether that first app was created over the last 24 hours. This is what this check here does. If so, let's check whether that particular app user or creator of that app belongs to our Contoso PowerApps maker in this particular case. And the idea here is that where you store your list of app maker can be anywhere. You could create entities, databases that will hold information about your users, your creators, whether they got some training. There's a lot of scenarios that you can imagine where you would want to hold a list of all of the developers, app developers in your organization. So in our case here, we detected that there is a new app. There is a group that we want to check whether this app creator belongs to. So we get the app creator profile. This profile is we get it straight from the ID, from the user ID in question. And then we basically do our we check whether that user belongs to this particular group. And if so, if not, we actually add him or her into this group and send an email notification welcoming them to the PowerApps group, basically. So this is an example of what that email looks like. Congratulations for getting into the creating for your first app. These are a bunch of resources. And again, here, this could be anything that your organization fits. So again, this is a very unique scenario that maybe is something that your particular company might want to customize to their needs, something that maybe it's outside the scope of the admin center portal that we have today. So that's one example. The other example I want to show is really about looking a little bit deeper into kind of what an app has, and then checking for particular connection that belong to an app. This particular scenario here is that we are going to go check all of our connections that were used in a particular app, and ensure that they are not shared maybe with the entire organization, with the entire tenant. So again, usually all of those flows start with enumerating all of your environments. We go through every single one of the environment that we have. We get all of the connections that were used in that environment. We check whether that particular connection has been shared with this string, which is tenant, which is our clue that this connection in particular was shared with everyone in an organization. And from an admin perspective, you might want to be careful or alerted for the scenarios where someone shared a connection, say a SQL connection or maybe a SharePoint list with the entire organization. And that's it. So once we are in that mode, we can actually send an email notification giving us all of the details of that app that was shared with that connections that was shared with the entire organization. So the other so I'm going to switch back to my slides here again. So again, flows is one way to use the connectors. We have customers that, like with us here, that use the Virgin Atlantic as an example, that use those connectors to kind of enhance this experience. This is a PowerApps, basically, that uses those connectors to enumerate all of the environments, all of the apps in the environment, finding out all of the permissions that were shared, all of the users that these particular apps were shared with. And there are also other scenarios that are very custom to this particular case. We can see here that the particular Office 365 user connector was flagged. This is something that maybe is not out of the box in the admin center, but this is something that maybe Version Atlantic here is keeping a track of a set of connectors that maybe needs to go additional security reviews. So again, you could imagine any kind of scenario that will fit your organization, and you could make use of these connectors to build. So again, as I mentioned, we go and see a lot of organizations. We are trying, there's a Center of Excellence Starter Kit is our answer, our way to kind of package a lot of those templates, a lot of the scripts, a lot of those dashboard into one package, one of the solution package that, we have a solution package that you can download from these links and deploy in your own organization. That solution package will allow you to kind of put in place everything that you need in order to capture all of the data needed to drive a lot of those custom scenarios. I'm going to actually switch back real quick and show the solution package and the content of it. So this is the Center of Excellence package. You can see here that we have entities that will capture all of the apps, all of the flow, the audit log that we get from the Office 365. There's a lot of resources here. Some of the flows here are meant to go and run on a daily basis and capture all of the apps that you have in your environment into those entities. You have flows here that will go to Office 365 logs and capture all of the usage of your app. So all of those things we put in a package that hopefully you can go use as a starting point for your own automation. We have model-driven apps that are available as well, that will show you an overview of all of the users in your environment. So these are all of the environments, how many apps are for each environment, your top active app makers. This is very useful information to have if you're interested in finding out where your most active developers are in your organization. Reach out to them, have them come back and help other in the organization grow. So this is kind of a view over your top creators. Megan Brower here is one of the top creators in this demo. Similarly with flows, you could see all of the details of the flows that you have in your environment. You could drill down into apps, look at all of the details that you have within an app, all of the connections that the app might be using. So again, there's a lot of information that we're capturing here. We're also offering an example of a process flow that will allow an administrator to go and basically make sure that compliance is in place, like that someone actually went through the steps of maybe filling up the description of the app, providing the business justifications that you might want to see as part of that app. So the administrator could assess the risk of the app and then approve it to be highlighted in one of the apps that we are also offering, which is the app catalog, which I'm going to show in a second here, which is this. So again, you could create your own experience about how you want to display or feature apps within your organization. Perhaps you want to maybe have a process where you detect the best apps across the company and feature them in an app catalog, as we see here. Again, I encourage you to go and check out I'll switch back to the PowerPoints. I encourage you to download the kit and really kind of play with it. It will give you a good starting point example of what you could do with these admin connectors and the PowerShell scripts. Again, there are scenarios we're covering with the starter kit, all around security, monitoring, alerting, nurturing. There's a bunch of resources again that are in the kit. I'll keep this for a moment here. There is a DLP editor, which is a great way to find out how your DLP policies are going to affect the organization. Some really cool looking dashboard that gives you a really good insight about how the adoption of the platform is within your organization. And with that, I'll leave it to Kurt.
All right. Good job. So let me log back in here. All right, well, welcome. My name is Kurt Charney. I'm with Chevron, And so I'm going to basically I'm going to give you a demo about some of the, one of the core apps that we've actually built with some of the different things that were actually shared with here. And so how many, let me just ask you a question. How many different production environments do you guys actually have in your environment? Just hold up how many on your hand. Okay, so most people can hold it up on one hand. Okay. All right, so that's I mean that's generally how things would work in the Dynamics 365 world. You'd have maybe one instance in your company or just a handful of instances there. So we're actually kind of taking a vastly different approach with Chevron. And so we are targeting to have like 70 plus different production instances. We're probably going to have closer to 80 or 90 different production instances. That's actually production instances. And those are permanent instances. Everything else, we're looking at just-in-time instances, stuff that's going to go away. It's going to be there for a short period of time, and it's going to just get deleted automatically. So how many times do you actually create something in your environment and it just sits there? Can anybody relate to that? I mean, people have file shares, right? SharePoint. The stuff's just supposed to sit in there for a short period of time. It's in a temp folder, but that temp folder just gets huge, right? How many people have a junk drawer at home? You got a junk drawer at home, that thing just keeps growing, right? Spring cleaning, you kind of clean it out, but not entirely, right? So the same thing happens, right, in our environments. So what we did, we took the approach, we're going to let people create these environments just on the whim, but we're going to control and force them to get deleted. So we'll give them a time window, and it just happens. And I'll kind of show you how we actually accomplish that. But so the app you're looking at up on the screen, I'm actually going to demo it, I'll show it to you. And this app is available to everyone inside of Chevron. Okay? So what we want is we want people to be able to be free to be able to invent, to create. We don't want to put a bunch of restrictions on them. So previously in Chevron, it was not like that. Okay? So our journey to Azure over the past 2.5 years has really helped change the culture at Chevron. And so we're very much more on the DevOps mindset of failing fast, which you think about it from an oil company, okay, that's kind of a scary thing, right? You don't want to fail fast drilling a well, right? Okay, so we put certain things in reason, right? So that stuff's going to have very tightly controlled operations. But there's so many things that we just spend more time planning, and by the time you get done planning, you wind up with an 8-track tape that works really awesome, but now you got an 8-track tape, right? You can't play it anywhere, right? And so we wound up just, analysis paralysis, that kind of thing, right? And so we don't want to do that. So we want to actually figure out what works. And the best way to figure out what works is putting it in the power of the hands of the people that know how to do the stuff. And so the PowerApps is going to give us that capability to be able to let people just go forth and create. And so what we're doing is we're putting the boundaries around them to be able to kind of stop people from doing the really stupid things. And so the guidelines and the guardrails, we're putting that are there, but we're also opening it up. So who here understands what DevOps actually is and actually does different DevOps? Okay, about half the room. Who here has read the Phoenix Project? Okay, a lot less people. So I challenge everyone in the room, go ahead, you can go to Amazon, I don't sponsor the book or anything, but go ahead and read that book. Because when you read that book, it's fictional, but it will help you to understand the benefit and the challenge that we're trying to overcome with DevOps. So instead of that long planning cycle of doing different things and the isolated silos of you got developers over here, you got operations over here, security over here, compliance over here, it brings everything together. And that's what we're really striving to do, right? To bring everyone together, to work as a team. And when you can work as a team, it's amazing what you can accomplish. So, let's see, go to the next slide on here. So the first thing is getting the environment in people's hands to be able to start creating stuff, right? So that's the first solution we came up with, and that it's live in production, and we've got a bunch of instances being created. The cool thing is we got a bunch of instances being created, but they're also being managed, and they're going to go away after 30 days. Now, we give them the ability to extend it up to 2 times, but after that, it just goes away. So they need a way to take whatever cool stuff that they built and move that into production. right? And the challenge, working with Azure, okay, we were mainly working with developers. So they understood this application lifecycle that everyone was talking about. Okay, so they understood how to work with source control and check things in, right, and go from one to the next. A drilling engineer that understands Excel, they can tear that thing up morning, noon, and night. They have no clue what checking something into source control even means. And so my job is to make sure they don't need to understand what that means. But it will happen. Okay? And so we want all this stuff to happen. We want all those barriers and the guardrails, but we want to make it as invisible as possible. So we want them to start off in their citizen developer environment, right, to play and everything else. When they're ready, they say, hey, I want to move this thing to some production environment somewhere. So how do we enable that to happen? So we kind of came up with a way. Now, Microsoft is also working on some other stuff with different things in the future, but that's down the road. So we're just kind of wrangling it now and trying to figure some stuff out on our own. So, well, go back to that last slide real quick. So this application here is what we're about to release it into production. It's not quite live yet. There's a few other little things on the back end that we're building. So basically what this is going to give the citizen developer the ability to do is say, hey, here's my environment. What makes up my application? I've got these different solutions. I've got these different Canvas apps and flows. That's what makes up my solution. I just choose the different ones, and I just hit, what is it, publish, submit. What's the thing on the bottom? What do we name the button? Submit request. Okay. I kept changing it. I forgot what the slide's actually at. So they hit that. And so basically what's going to happen is that's going to go in the background, and it's going to export out all the stuff that they said, okay? And then it's automatically going to create a VSTS or Azure DevOps project, source control, in the background, stick this stuff in there, and it's going to submit a request to the production environment approver. It says, hey, BU owner over here, production environment owner, is this application okay to be in your production environment? If they approve it, then it automatically lays down a pipeline and then runs it, and it gets deployed up to production. The citizen developer, who is a really big Excel whiz, who understood the business process, does not need to know any of that stuff going on. It just happens. Now, if you're a developer and you're developing a Dynamics 365 with a lot of Visual Studio source control, you're going to have a lot more of that knowledge. So you need to then load your source control, and all that stuff will still happen. But you're a developer at that point. So we need to support both scenarios, and both of them will work in this context. Okay, so go to the next slide. I just kind of put together a little workflow that, now I know you probably can't read all this stuff on here. I didn't really intend for you to, but you guys will get the slides afterwards, so you'll be able to actually kind of go through the different steps in here. So basically it starts off with what I said. They actually select those different things. They select the solutions, right, the Canvas apps and flows. And actually in the application, there's a button in there where we force them, before they can select the solution, it actually opens up the solution in a window where they can verify the contents in there. Because if they're a citizen developer, they're probably just playing around with a bunch of stuff, building these things, adding this stuff. They got Joe's cool entity. Maybe they don't want that as part of their solution going to production. So we give them a one-time view to be able to view this stuff. They can remove things. We've got guidance and documentation that'll walk them through the different stuff. But if they say, hey, everything looks good, it'll just move its way up. Before it makes it to production, there will be an automated test and a UAT review that somebody will have to approve it in the pipeline before it actually gets going up to production. So something's just not going to randomly go up there, right? So we also built the concept of an auto-approved group into our flow. So that way, for different environments, you're going to have people that this environment owner is going to say, hey, I want this group of people or these 15 people, any app they develop, I want it just to automatically get auto-approved to go into my production environment. I'm good with it. And then they don't need to have an approver every single time they add that or create that application. Once they edit the application, it's already approved in that environment. The pipeline's already laid down. They can edit it, and it'll just automatically go up the chain each time. So what else we'll have on this slide here? So you got the approvers, and the other key concept is about the just-in-time environments. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So probably in a lot of your environments, you have these things that just stay around forever, right? You've got an environment, and it just stays there, keeps growing. You have to do security reviews on that thing all the time. You have to do compliance reviews on it, right? It just keeps gathering more and more stuff, especially a developer environment, right? So the only things in our environment that will be permanent are production environments. Now there's one exception to that, and that's we have one BU and might have 2 or 3 that are using data gateways, okay? Data gateways today, a data gateway is a way for you to connect your environment to be able to access on-prem resources. Okay, so if you have a SQL server that sits on your actual data center on-prem and not in the cloud, not somewhere else, that you can hit with an API, you need a data gateway to be able to get down to that. Okay, it's the same data gateway you'd use for Power BI. But you can't just automatically attach that data gateway on the fly today. Microsoft's working on that, and so later this year we're going to be able to dynamically do that. And when we can't dynamically do that, any of those permanent environments that are non-production are going to go away. Okay, so today they have to be permanent because we have to put a support ticket in to get them to add that on. So we just leave those environments right now for them, let them know that, hey, you got to manage them. The cool thing with just-in-time environments, I create that thing for a UAT test, right? On the fly, build it on the fly, perform, have 15 users go into that environment, test my app. When I'm done testing my app, what happens to the environment? It goes away. Do I need to do a security review on that thing anymore? No. Lot less work. Lot less out of compliance things. The only thing you need to really do a security review on is your production environment. Everything else is just in time. And it's always the latest stuff. So it just works, right? So DevOps is really we're using Azure DevOps for the pipeline to be able to automate many of these things. So what we're also doing is, and we're currently, we don't have yet, it should be live in production in the next week or so, is after we stand up the citizen developer environment, we're going to be adding in a bunch of other stuff behind the scenes to that environment by default. We're adding in different templates automatically. We're loading those in. We're adding a couple more things in just automatically. And then in the next month, we're going to be adding the ability to kind of have a starter template set. So that way, if you can say which production environment you're going to go to right from the get-go. And so we can actually lay down the baseline set of entities for that different production environment right in your citizen developer environment, right out of the box. And so that'll be available in about another month. So we're just adding this stuff on. Every 2 weeks, we're coming out with new stuff that we're adding on. So currently, we're not, the flows and the Canvas apps that we're working on and we're exporting out, we're not using solutions for today because sticking those things into a solution, the only way you can promote those from one environment to the next is through an unmanaged solution. And we're doing everything solution-wise, we're doing managed. So we're creating just-in-time environments, and then we're loading the solution into that environment, exporting it out as managed, and then moving it on up the chain. But that will not work with the Canvas app and Flow today, so we actually built our own export. James helped send a few APIs to us, and so we took that, and we're actually building our own export and using Azure DevOps to actually export out all those different things. Now, the thing, if you perform an export on any of the Canvas app or flows, like using a service account, then you need to first set ownership of those things. So that's the one challenge. If you're trying to automate some of this stuff that you might run into, is that if you try to just use a service account that's system admin in your environment, but when it comes to Canvas apps specifically, Canvas apps doesn't honor the normal security roles, right? It's got a different security model. But the way around that is you just set ownership. Since it's admin in the environment, you can do that. So our script just sets ownership to that Canvas app, exports it, we're good to go. So it's been really great. So we've got a team we're working with Avanade and XY with us, and they've been doing an awesome job. So we just really gelled together as a team, and we're just coming up with a lot of different ideas. And we all challenge each other regularly. So we might come up with a great idea, but we'll present it to the team, and then somebody might say, well, you know what, why don't we look at it this way? And so we'll go off, we'll try that way, and we'll go back and forth. I can't tell you the number of times we've changed along the way because we're just try stuff and figure it out and see what works the best, what works the fastest, what works the most secure, what will actually get stuff. And so what we've done as well is we've actually created an admin environment. So everything that we do from this kind of construct, we run from our own admin environment. We're not loading this into everybody else's environment. We're running it from our admin environment, and we're using all the stuff that they just talked about. So all these things that we're doing is using PowerApps and Flow. Okay, and we're using Azure DevOps for different things as well, run the pipeline, and you can actually run some of these PowerShell scripts through that. But the environment creation and everything else that we're doing is actually using PowerApps and Flow to do all those things. So we're trying to use the environment to manage the environment. And we store all that stuff in CDS. So actually the database that we're using to manage this stuff is all in CDS. So it actually has the triggers in there. So after 30 days, well actually 10 days, so 10 days before the expiration, we'll send out an email. So if James created an environment, 10 days before expiration, he'll get an email. It says, hey, your environment's going to expire in 10 days. Do you want to extend it? You've got 2 more extensions left. And if he clicks a little button and the email says yes, boom, it's instantly extended for another 30 days. Doesn't have to answer questions, do anything else. It just happens, right? If he doesn't do anything, he gets a couple more emails as a reminder, says, hey, this stuff's about to go away. And then on day 0, environment's gone, bye-bye. And so if he was on vacation that time, then obviously his app wasn't that important, right? So I mean, we're facilitating these things. There might be those exceptions out there with different stuff, but if it's really that needed, he should have done something differently. We can always contact Microsoft on the outset, and they can always restore an environment. But I mean, we want to make it painful for somebody that is just leaving stuff out there anyways, right? So we're making it very easy for you to get it out of the environment into source control, and our environment is not the source. And you might have heard that at some points in the conference. Source control is the source. That's why we can do just-in-time environments. So everything's being loaded into Azure DevOps as the source. We're not deploying from dev. We're deploying from source control to all these other environments, right up the chain. And that's how we're doing that stuff. So let me just give you a quick demo here. And so one thing that we've also done is, and I'll just load this here. We've actually got an internal shortcut system that we use, so it makes it really easy to put that out there. So, but this is the application that I was talking about. We've also enabled the hero capability of this application. So on the mobile device, it's the very top app. When you go into PowerApps, it's the very top app for all this stuff. So every single user in the company can easily get to this. Okay? And so we've done that. We've also, if you notice when I loaded this thing, I didn't ever consent to anything. Okay, so we actually ran the other toolkit that Mandy talked about was actually bypassing all that stuff. So actually you have to have certain rights in that to be able to do that. But when you do that, it makes it so much easier for all your users. Because most users are going to say, what is this? Some of these guys haven't ever used Facebook, right? Maybe they looked at MySpace one time, so these consent things really confuse people sometimes. So the cool thing is you have the capability to run this stuff to make it easy for your users if you plan ahead and you know what you're doing. So this application is available to all users, okay? And so in order for me to go in and create an environment, all I need to do is click Create Developer Environment down here. Okay, and I was just talking to one of my Chevron cohorts in MCBU, told her about this app. We were at a table over here. She pulled it up on her phone, and you can run this from your phone and create a citizen developer environment from your phone. Okay, so this isn't just on a Windows PC, all right? So, let's get started, and the only 2 things you need to fill out really is why you want to do this. You can really type whatever you want there. We just kind of keep that for record purposes. This doesn't get an approval or anything else. And then whether you want to actually create a CDS database or not, in this case I will. By default, we just choose no. If you just want to PowerApp and Flow, you don't really need a CDS database. But if you did want one, then you can go ahead and choose that to create. I can also go in here, if I'm creating this environment, right, and say I want to actually work with this environment as a team environment. Okay, I don't want to have to go in and figure out how to use CDS to put security roles and assign this to this and this. I might not have any clue how to do that. So right here in this application, I can actually set people as either environment makers or admins. Now, I'm already going to be added as an admin by default in this environment. So I have full control over this environment. This is my environment, right? I can go back and add people later if I know how, right? But right here, we're giving you the capability to just add them right off front. So if you're working with a team, you can add 3 people, whatever else, whatever you want to add, as long as they're valid users, you can add them in, just choose them, and it'll add them in there automatically. And then all you have to do at that point is click submit, right? And we come up with a little message that says, hey, you're going to get an email. And so what we do at that point is if you didn't choose CDS, then your environment is going to be instantly there within like 3 seconds, right? So you'll instantly have an environment. If you choose CDS, that takes a few minutes to create. It takes anywhere from, I guess a minute if it's magical, up to 10 to 15 to 30 minutes, right? So it could be a window. So I don't want people sitting in front of the screen waiting for it, so I said I'm going to email them. So the first thing I do if they choose CDS, we email them and says, hey, we got your request, your environment is being created, it's on its way, and you're going to get another email when it's done, right? So we let them know about that. And I think, did I get an email on this thing yet? You'll see one pop up. It should come up on there. And then, so you'll get the initial email. And then the secondary email that you'll get will be an email that has the URL for your environment, has all the information about it, has links to training resources that you can do, has links back to this application. So you're pretty much satisfied, ready to go. You got a bunch of links to Channel 9, got a bunch of links to other Microsoft training. So it's got a bunch of links all over the place for different things for you to be able to get started right out of the box, right? And also tells you when your environment's going to expire. And so you just click on that link, and then you can start developing. The other thing that you can do in this environment is we've actually granted a huge community within Chevron P2 licenses. So we're using P2 licenses. The ones that do not have P2 licenses are like service accounts or guest users. So you can actually add a guest user into your tenant. So by default, we don't grant them P2 licenses. But I didn't want to have to keep getting the requests to go over and create P2 licenses for people. So what we did is we just associated a group with that license, and we made it self-service. So right from this application, you create a service account. That service account, in order for that service account to work inside your environment, it needs to have a license. Okay? So if you're creating a service account, you're going, why isn't that thing syncing to my environment? It's probably because you didn't give it a license, right? If it doesn't have a license, it's not going to show up in your environment. So all people do is as soon as they create a service account, they come over here, click guest user service account, and they just look up the account right here, hit add license, and within a few seconds you have a P2 license. They can also get a CE license or a team member license, but we ask them for a company code and cost center because we want to backbill them for that one. So we're going to cover the P2 license. We're not going to cover the CE license. So they need to pay for that themselves. So they need to provide a company code and cost center. So, but we're up front. It says, hey, a P2 is going to get you the majority of everything that you need. Unless you're actually trying to use the Microsoft applications like sales or finance or something like that, then you don't need a CE license. A P2 is going to get you, you can create model-driven apps with that, you can create PowerApps, flows, all that stuff with a P2 license. So you're good to go. So we list all that right there, and then they go create it, and then boom, within a few seconds they have that group created. So far, I've been talking for a little bit, is there any questions anybody has on different things? Yeah?
So is the model that you're using for environments, it reminds me of containers. Is that kind of how you're looking at this PowerApps deployment model, where every environment is almost a container for a single application?
Good question. I'll repeat the question. Okay, so the question was basically if we're looking at environments as a container. So each environment supports only a single application. So the answer is kind of a yes and a no, but we don't restrict it to one. The production environment obviously is going to have a whole slew of different applications, right? But your citizen developer environment, a lot of times will only have one. But we didn't want to restrict it to only one. That's why when we came up with that one application, we say, hey, select what makes up your application. Because they might have gone hog wild and created 15 applications in there, right, in their citizen developer environment. We're not going to restrict it. So they just tell us, hey, what makes up your app? It's this one solution, these two flows, and this one Canvas app. That's what makes up my application. And then they choose those things, we move them. They could run that app again, choose a set of different things, and then it creates another VSTS repo. So we do have a repo that is tied to a single application. So we do have that construct. So every repo is only for one application. So by repo, I mean a source control repository. So in VSTS or ADO, I have the hardest time saying ADO. And in my mind, it stands for Access Data Objects. So I don't know who can relate to that, but it stands for Azure DevOps. But I still call it VSTS. But yeah, so from an application perspective, it's one-to-one. But the citizen developer, generally most citizen developers will probably develop one application. But you know, they might actually load the app in a day in their citizen developer environment. So I don't want to include that in production, right? So that's why we let them choose what they have. But yeah, good question. Any other questions you guys have on things? Yeah.
You specified service accounts.
Yes.
Not using the server authentication, the server accounts, like the client IDs as a registered app in the server?
Good question. The answer is yes and no. We are doing that for some. So the question is, I mentioned about service accounts. And so what his point was is that there is the capability of creating an Azure, what's called an Azure app, which is a really challenging word for it. So it's just an Azure AD application, right? So when you create that, you get a client ID and a secret, which basically lets you authenticate to Azure as this application. So when you're creating an app service or something, that's generally what you're going to use for authentication. The Dynamics also supports that from that perspective of using that. And actually, there's a new feature with CDS where you can actually utilize the client ID and secret and even with custom connectors with that. So we do use that for certain contexts. Some of the challenges are the level of permissions required to do some of those things are larger scope than we want to grant. So that's why we have kind of a yes and no model to that. So we don't want to grant a particular application too many privileges, because if that thing gets hacked, then, so we're all about least privileged with different things. So that's why we also have we have kind of some master service accounts, but generally we're going to be creating these other service accounts per production environment. So each production environment will have its own service account that it'll be running under for that different pipeline. Yes?
In creating these new environments, if you say you had a suite of apps that you wanted to put every time somebody wanted to create a new environment, but you standing up a new project in some other country,
Okay.
you could then, using these tools, automate that creation process almost entirely.
Yep. Yeah, so the question was about if we want to include a suite of applications, like for each new environment, citizen developer environment or something like that. Yes. We're actually going to be doing that within the next month. So, but it'll be different for each business unit that you're choosing that you're in. So we're going to actually start it with the core things that they say, hey, I want all this to be part of my developer environment. And so when they choose that production environment, then it's automatically going to load in all that stuff. Boom. Right for them. And they'll start right from the get-go.
And a follow-up on that, if one of those apps that's in all these different environments, you come up with a better design for it, you've got that in your repository, you can automate changing all of those.
Exactly, yes. So the question was if a particular application gets updated and it exists out there in a bunch of different places, how do you handle that? Well, we're actually building a pipeline just for that. And the cool thing is since that application is now in source control, I can easily deploy that from anywhere. And the beauty of that is I can look at all the versions, who checked in what, and everything else too. So there's a whole history that I have. And I could do a rollback if there was a change made in source control, say, no, that version had a weird thing in it. You can also do enforcements in source control, what's called a pull request. So if you want to have somebody actually do a code review before it makes it up the chain into a branch you're going to deploy stuff, you can do kind of a sniff test and says, well, allow anybody to log in, that's probably not a good line to have, you know. Change that line before I promote it up there, right? You know, so you could do stuff like that. Definitely. And some BUs will be implementing that. Other BUs will be more focused on citizen developer, and we'll just allow the pull request to automatically happen. We're going to try to auto-detect if there's like code involved or if it's a Canvas app or Flow. Canvas app and Flow, pull request, you just auto-approve. But you still do a pull request, right? We just make it happen automatically in the background. So that way a user doesn't need to be involved with any of that. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah. Every what now, I'm sorry?
Every application that you put to production that has CDS is going to get a service account?
Every production environment will have its own service account, yes.
And then the additional license for P2 for every one of those, right? That seems, I guess, to get excessive with each license.
Not that excessive. We're only going to have, now production environments, not every single citizen developer environment will need that. We have a couple core service accounts that will be on each of these. Right, but as far as from a production environment perspective, that's the service account that's going to be running the pipeline to promote from here to here to here. It's going to be the one logging in and loading this stuff into their different environments, right? So we're going to be doing this not as a person. A person's not going to ever get into production and load any of these things. It's only going to be under a service account with full automation, right? So yeah, it's just we get a P2. So we're talking about maybe 80 or so, but the benefit you get out of doing all that stuff and the automation you get, the security you get, the hands-off approach you get, it's worth its weight in gold. Yeah, and P2s are not ultimately that expensive to be able to do all that.
One other thing I caught there is that we're removing the administrative requirements of P2 coming later this month. So admin center access, doing all that doesn't require P2 going forward. And so that's another thing that we announced and we talked about it. We wrote a blog about it this month. So if his question is that he needs to have a P2 just for the administrative automation, that is going away.
And so what James was saying is that to be able to access the administration center is later this month, right? Is not going to require a P2 license to be able to access the administration center. Now, in our goal, our whole focus is really to not really ever be in the admin center hardly at all anyways. With different things, most users should never even need to get in there. We want to automate these things and provide them what they need just automatically, right? So that way stuff just happens. So if a user, I mean, my mantra is if I have to click on something more than twice, I'm going to automate it, all right? That's just how I work, right? I hate going back and doing duplicate work or having to click on the same thing again and again and again. That's just, it gives me the bejeebies. I'd rather just automate it, run a script, and have it do all the work for me, right? So, yeah.
So how do you handle business continuity or disaster recovery? Somebody nukes your production environment, all the data is gone. How do you get it back?
Good question. So the question was about if the production environment actually gets destroyed, right? How do we get that back? Well, the first point is that all of our code and everything else is already in our source control. So all we do is stand up another production environment, redeploy, and then all of our code is there, right? All of our applications are live. Now the data is another story, right? So if that gets, so we basically will probably call Microsoft and ask them to restore it, right? It's probably what we would do from that perspective, right? But in the meantime, we can actually get the applications up and live again, right? And so as far as the different backup and some other stuff like that. Now, for a lot of different data, we're also targeting an API-first approach too. So if we have very minimal data in our production environment, then we can pretty much stand that thing up again, redeploy from source control, just run the pipeline, everything's up again, we're good to go. With a couple clicks, we're live, right? And then, boom, we can start using it right from the get-go. And if the data is outside of CDS, then we're instantaneous up and ready to go.
Let's give Kurt a hand for sharing a story with us. Huh? Awesome to see what Chevron's doing. We'll be around for a few more minutes. I know we're out of time for this session, but we'll be up here in case anyone has any additional questions. Thank you for coming.